me, discipline in the way that I'm tackling my goals, discipline in the way that, even down to just waking up in the morning, making sure that everything that I'm doing is kind of very in line with the goals, essentially. And that's going to take discipline for myself and sacrifice.
Have you ever heard the phrase becoming the best version of yourself? Yeah, me too. But what does that even mean? And how do we become that person? I'm here to help you navigate through those questions and come up with actionable steps in order for you to live your best life. We've got to discover what we want. We've got to figure out a plan on how to get there, and then we have to go. We can't just sit and wait any longer. Life won't wait on us. So come join me on this constant journey to become the best version of yourself and to find your best you. I'll see you on the other side. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Best You. I got the one and only Derrick Billups with me here today. I'm stoked to have him. So the way I want to start off with you today, Derrick, is I think I've heard your story once or twice before about Mrs. Bill from grade school. So I want you to kind of tell everybody about that story and what that meant to you and how that brought you motivation throughout your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that story was me back in high school. It was a teacher who, she wasn't a bad teacher, essentially. She just kind of had the wrong viewpoint of me. Now that I look back on it, she was a teacher that she was, really, she was a study hall teacher at the time, essentially. One of my best friends was in that study hall. I used to come in, talk to him all the time, joke, same personality, just didn't know how to harness my energy, essentially, at the time. So back in the day, it could have been deemed as a deviant kid or somebody that didn't listen to authority or always need to talk. So that's who I was, essentially. But I used to come in, talk to him, and when I used to leave, he used to come back and tell me, like, hey, she came up to me and told me, don't hang out with that kid. That kid's never going to be anything. That kid right there is kind of heading down the wrong path. And it was like, it hurt me a little bit. And he was very honest in saying, like, hey, this is how they're viewing you, essentially. Let me tell you, so we can either rectify the behavior or you can kind of continue being you, but you know, like, hey, these are how these teachers are treating you and thinking about you. So for me, it was a way and fuel throughout my life to think back at that. Like, hey, these people are viewing me like this. I'm not a bad person. I'm just a very energetic, passionate person. I'm always kind of being talkative. I have to figure out a way to kind of be myself, but also not kind of, not cater to people. So not care too much about what these people are thinking. You know what I mean? So it was a way to harness it. And for me, it's fuel constantly thinking back to her, saying that to my friend and realizing like, that's not going to define me, but I'm going to use that as fuel to kind of go into the next level. So, yeah, man, Miss Bill, thank you. I appreciate you, Miss Bill.
So knowing what you know now kind of about that experience, what would your conversation be like to your high school self about that situation?
Yeah, just realize that the story is never finished, essentially. So let's say an author is writing a book. I don't really think the story's ever finished. Let's think of Harry Potter. There's many layers to Harry Potter's story, essentially, and that's kind of my life. I didn't have it fully figured out at that time, so to judge a child at that age or to judge anybody at that age, you can't really get the full scope, because for me, I didn't grow into my full self until I was 24, 25, 26, and I'm still constantly developing. So for me, looking back and telling somebody, hey, don't worry about what people are saying about you. Who are you inside? And constantly be trying to work on and improve yourself.
Gotcha.
Essentially, yeah.
Awesome. Obviously, a lot of people can tell you got this sense of urgency. You got this energy behind you. And I think that early on, it probably came from that. But I feel like you've probably kind of outgrown that to an extent. So where right now do you feel your sense of urgency comes from?
My sense of urgency comes from the goals that I set for myself, essentially. So every 6 months to even every 3 months, if you want to like really kind of scale it down, I set these goals that I have to hit, and it kind of forces me to act with intent constantly. So that gives me urgency. So right now, be very transparent. My 3 goals are to take my business down to Orlando. That's a major market that I've been looking at. I've been eyeing for the last 6 to 8 months. So that's a major goal. So right now, a lot of things I'm doing is geared towards that. Right. Another one of my main goals is kind of get back to my own personal training. I've been building my business for so long, essentially. It's been kind of pulling away from what I really love, of the individual training. So getting back to that essentially. And another goal is to really be involved with my team members. So for a while, I had people in place like an operations manager, a team manager, things like that, that wasn't allowing me, was pulling me away from actually getting to know the people that are representing me in the community. So for me, that's another goal, is getting really back in tuned and in the lives of the people that are representing my brand. So for me, that gives me the sense of urgency, knowing I have to hit these goals essentially.
Gotcha.
If I don't have goals, I'm moving without a purpose. If I'm moving without a purpose, it's kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So how do you go about developing those goals? I think all those 3 goals are super in depth, and you can tell that you're very passionate about them. And I think that you can't really come up with a passionate goal maybe right off the bat. So how do you come up with developing the goal of, I want to expand to Orlando and I need to really focus on that personal training?
Yeah. Well, again, how do I take those goals? It's really setting kind of the umbrella goals, essentially. For me, I want to be able to develop a life for myself that I do not have to work if I don't want to work. Essentially, everything I want to do, I want it to be because I just love to do it. It's not because I'm chasing this income. So these goals that I'm creating for myself will allow me to kind of reach that potential. So my company needs to be where it needs to be. Essentially, as far as the team members need to understand the goals, everything that I'm working towards, whether it's family members around me. So everything I'm doing needs to be kind of shifted towards these individual goals that kind of help me reach those umbrella goals. So for me, these small 3 to 6 month goals are really kind of small goals to hit these bigger goals. So it's all attached. Everything I'm doing is attached. Mm-hmm. Yep.
How did you develop this passion to create your business and create what it is?
Yeah. I think the passion that I have came from my family members. So growing up with my mom, my father's father, sisters, they're all very passionate, energetic, and they love what they do. They have a love for life. And for me, that's kind of where it came from. As far as the entrepreneurship, my father's an entrepreneur. He grew up, in North Philadelphia. So he always had to kind of create a way for himself, always be creative. He went to college, first person in his family to attend college. After that, he went into teaching, taught for about 3 or 4 years. So went to college all this time to teach, first person in his family to do it. So for him, he was in this very stable position with his whole family was looking at him like, oh, this is amazing. You're going to be able to help the family. So that was on his back. Yeah. He was like, you know what? This isn't for me going into this school 9 to 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this profession that everybody around me is like pressuring me to stay in because it's secure and go start my own life insurance business. So that's what he did at the age of 27, 28. Mm-hmm. That's right when I was born. So for him to have new kids, like freshly born, my mom is like, babe, go chase your dream. I understand we got these kids, but we'll figure it out together. Sure. He went and chased his entrepreneurial dream. And to this day, he's still an entrepreneur with 3 businesses, just grinding. So for me, that's where I got that from, understanding that, hey, 9 to 5s, that's not for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that, essentially. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm a creator and I need to create. So that's where I get the passion from the family. The entrepreneur mindset to start this business came straight from my father, just watching the way he moves and seeing that it's possible. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think it's kind of the same way that I've kind of developed it because my dad is an entrepreneur as well, has had his own business. And I've seen that he wakes up at 4:00 in the morning and works his tail off and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, you're always working, but you still can have a little bit more flexibility in kind of your timing. And I think that seeing that in him, always being able to come to all my sports games and seeing some of my friends, their parents not there.
Every sports game, he coached everything. So that gave the flexibility. I loved it. You know what I mean? He didn't have to be a multi-millionaire. He was there every day before I went to school. When I got home from school, every sports practice, still creating his dream. So for me, man, it was a great kind of model to kind of be able to watch and then myself implement. So yeah man.
I think I've seen one of your passions develop into public speaking. You do some public speaking within your business. You post motivational talks on your social media posts and stuff like that. Have you always been comfortable with public speaking?
I have not always been comfortable with public speaking, man. It's something that in my heart, I was comfortable with. Like, I know I want to get out there. I know I used to dance in front of the church, in front of everybody, just like this active, energetic, one in the spotlight, essentially. But I had a bad stuttering problem growing up. So it literally, it stopped me from being able to say things I wanted to say. Like, and I'm about to be very visual right now. I used to talk like this. I used to be like, hey, Nick, Nick, and it was so like it literally prohibited me and deterred me from reading in class. Like I would go tell the teacher before class, please do not call me. I would have my mom call my teachers, like, do not let them call on me. You know what I mean? I would ask my basketball coach, do not make me yell the play out. Like, can I please just hold up the number or you yell it out from the bench? So I used to have to sneak behind like everybody else and be like, hey, please don't, please. You know what I mean? So it then made me like, okay, I got so many years of speech therapy. Like I cannot allow this to cripple me like that, essentially. So I had to take control of it. So, I mean, and I still stutter. I'm stuttering right now, essentially. Like I still stutter to this day. And for me, it was just not letting that control me and trying to step out of that and realizing like, okay, everybody goes through something. How do you fix this? How do you make this better? How do you change the scope of your life? Because your life is being controlled by this. Like you're having to have your mom call teachers, having to tell your coach that you get like, so that right there gave me enough confidence to say, okay, look, I need to fix this. So I had 10 years of speech therapy. Shit, I still like go online today and do speech therapy on my own to try to make sure that when I'm in front saying certain words or I'm speeding myself up, because that was a lot of it back in the day, not breathing. Like I used to just, because I was so energetic, I didn't know how to harness it. And okay, this is what I'm like, that's how I had to like really like step back and like fix it, because I didn't know how to control the energy. And that was the main reason why I was stuttering. So now I control it other ways essentially, but I'm able to just relax and just speak out. So no, I haven't always been able to do it, but now you can't shut me up. Because now I'm like, now I know how to control it. So it's like, I'll just talk all day.
Yeah.
So, and so go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. When you do public speaking, do you usually have consistent themes that you like to talk about, or what do you try to get across to people is your biggest point?
Yeah. I wouldn't say necessarily having consistent themes that I like to talk about as far as like one or two, but there's definitely things that I go through in my regular life essentially. So I like to pull it. So whether it's, having the heart to take a risk essentially, like that's something that I had to do. Like I had to go out and leave a fitness company that was amazing. Like that taught me a lot. That was kind of the reason why I was able to build relationships in the community, and I had to go branch out on my own. And I took that risk because it was something that I've been preaching. Like I've been telling people around me, I need to do this essentially. So just something like that. Even the whole stuttering thing, like making sure that you're not letting things in your life hold you back. So whatever it is, recognize it, observe it, kind of see what it is, and then attack it, like attack that mission. So for me, it's things that are going on in my life that I'm realizing and evaluating and then just speaking about, because I recognize that a lot of people go through it, like young black men, like people in my community, like people that look like me, like for them, for me, I see it being a little tougher for them, like than your average white person in America, your average. You know what I mean? So for me, I always have to kind of show them like, hey, this is possible.
Gotcha.
You can do this. You can start your own business. Literally, I have it broken down to the numbers, how much it costs to create your own business, to have an LLC to a business. So those are the things that I like to talk about. Those are the things that I want to be able to give back to the community and show them like, hey, like don't be held back. Don't have a glass ceiling on top of you. Right. So yeah, man, I like to. Yeah. So
so what I'm hearing,
get too deep with it.
No, you're good. So what I'm hearing is you basically kind of take your own experiences and try to find a way to best communicate that with others, so that you can take what you've learned from your experience and they can go and use it, and they maybe don't have to go through all the different obstacles and the failures that you've gone through. Yeah, and be honest with you, I don't even see it as failures. And they are obstacles, but it's things that really, they're just learning experiences, things that kind of helped me kind of shape who I am now, realizing like, okay, because they weren't like super horrible things, but they were things that definitely made me feel less confident, and I had to recognize it, see what it was, and adjust to it. And yeah, I definitely want to help people avoid some of the same mistakes that I have, but at the same time, I want people to go through mistakes. Like mistakes help you and mold you to who you are. 100%. Mistakes for me, I always look back at things that I messed up on, and I appreciate those things, because it's like, if I didn't do that, then it wouldn't scare me to do that, or it wouldn't like it would push me to do that. So yeah, man, mistakes are actually great. So I don't want to say too many mistakes, but no, I understand. Man, I definitely, I've learned a lot from some of the mistakes just from doing this podcast. Just from doing what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Crap, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, you said you took a huge risk in leaving that good fitness company. Was that the biggest risk you've ever taken in your life?
I think that was the biggest risk, because I had found a career that I love. Like personal training gave me freedom. It gave me creativity. It gave me finances. It gave me new connections. It gave me new energy. It gave me basically everything I was looking for out of a career. And that place really taught me everything I knew. But at the same time, certain things are seasonal, essentially. So even if the season is 2 or 3 years, everything's not meant to be forever. And when you feel like you're no longer growing, you no longer can learn from a situation, or you just don't feel your value is being appreciated, then it's time to make a move. But like I said before, like everything that I've learned up until that point, so I left the company, was from them. So I'm forever appreciative, and that place is Results Fitness, just so we're very clear about that. So man,
What do you think is the biggest thing that you learned from taking that risk?
Biggest thing I've learned from taking that risk and going out creating my own was anything is possible. Like, and obviously what I did wasn't like going to the moon and traveling like Neil Armstrong, but at the same time, it was something that I've never thought in my life that people would want to fall in line with the dream that I've created, essentially. So it showed me that if you have your heart set on something and you truly believe in it and you work hard at it, like anything is possible that you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that I think that taking that risk, one thing that I've thought about myself and actually really heard recently in a different podcast was that probably taking that risk and leaving that company created this sense of urgency and this sense of necessity that's like, okay, now I'm out of here. Now I got to make it happen. And I know that when I left a couple of jobs that I've left, that it's like, okay, now I'm uncomfortable. Now I need to make it happen, because if I don't make it happen, then it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So I think being able to create that sense of urgency for yourself is so huge. And what I like to say is I almost feel like everybody should be unemployed at some point in their life, not as like a bad wish upon anybody. But I think that creating an unemployment mind for yourself kind of lets the creative juices flow and gets your ideas rolling about how you can make a change and how you can use what you're actually fired up about to benefit other people around you.
You couldn't have said it better myself, man. You got to pull out that rug. Pull the rug out a little bit. And that's the comfort rug. That's the rug of security and kind of that comfortable lifestyle. Sometimes you got to feel what the other side is like in order to create that sense of urgency for yourself. That's why 2018 and after that is going to be the year or the decade of the entrepreneurs, the people that come from nothing, the people that come from not having a lot, because those people have that hunger built up in them. The people that were born with it kind of, I don't feel like they've been the best entrepreneurs, essentially. Not saying that they're not great, but the people that never had it, this is their time. Because really, if you're creative enough, anything can happen for you in these days, using social media, using all these different platforms to create, man. So like it's creating a very even playing field these days, and that's dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I agree. Anything can happen these days, man. So that's exciting.
And you touched on the creativity part of it. I think that a lot of people hold themselves back by thinking they're not creative because, you know, we're kind of brought up in society thinking you're creative if you're into arts, if you're into music, if that kind of stuff. But I think that holds us back, and you really can be as creative as you allow yourself to be by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And my own personal experiences, that's what's brought me out to be creative, because I was never really like the artsy kind of guy and probably always thought myself as not as creative when I would go put down the personality sheets, like not creative is what I would probably put myself as. But putting myself in situations has allowed creativity to bloom out of those situations, which I think has been huge for me, and I think probably for you too.
Yeah, man. And I can think back to when I was a child, man, going to my grandma, she lived in rest in peace, grandma. She actually just passed away about 4 weeks ago, actually. But man, we used to go to her house during the summertime, spend pretty much the whole summer with her. And she lived in Philadelphia, which at the time, I actually lived in the suburbs. My family, we moved out of Philadelphia, moved to the suburbs, and we wanted her to come. She never wanted to leave her area. She loved her area. Boom, boom, boom. She was there when the buildings were created. It was a beautiful area. Long story short, it wasn't as beautiful at this time. So it was a low income Philadelphia at the time. And I was a basketball player, so I always wanted to play ball, but we weren't going to put a basketball hoop out there because something was going to happen to it. Let's just say something was going to happen to the basketball court. So around there, man, all the kids would build, because nobody really had money around it. They would create these basketball courts out of these big milk cartons, essentially. They would like these like crates, those crates that have like the like holes in the crates is like these boxes.
Oh yeah.
So they cut the bottom of them out. They nail it to like this wood backboard, put it up on a tree, right? And now there's the basketball court so you don't have it. You have to create it. And just being around that demographic and seeing the constant creation because you didn't have it because the rug's been pulled under you for life. It gives me that just motivation. Just thinking back at that, like that's creativity at its finest. Like
because
figuring out a way
to be creative.
You're forced to be creative and you're forced to kind of make it work. And then, I mean, yeah, man. So it's just everybody has it in them. It just has to be pulled out of you, essentially. Yeah. And certain people are just pure artists and they just decide early on that they're just going to live that creative lifestyle. They're not going to let the 9 to 5 or anything like that kind of prevent that. So yeah, everybody just has to find it, but everybody has it, man. For sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. One thing I thought was cool when you were talking about that the people created the milk carton and against a piece of wood as the backboard and the hoop. I think that touches on something that I recently have learned about developing your passion. There's 2 types of mindsets that you can have towards passion, and it's a fixed mindset, thinking that your passion is kind of always in you and it's just going to reveal itself someday, and then a growth mindset, thinking that you can develop yourself and grow yourself. And, it's not necessarily that a passion is within you, but maybe you can go find it. I'm not sure if I'm voicing it the best way possible.
I understand.
But the difference between those two is if you have a growth mindset and you perceive that there's going to be difficulty ahead of you, then you embrace that difficulty and you take on your passion. People who have a fixed mindset, if they perceive difficulty, they perceive that as, oh, maybe that's actually not my passion and I'm going to go do something else. Yep. And I think that's really cool because they wanted to play basketball. They were passionate about it. And so there was difficulty behind it, but they just found a way to fight through it and create that basketball hoop themselves. Exactly. And I think that's a huge, just kind of,
it brings it together, man. That shows you like exactly like, and they had that mindset, not to just sit back. Oh, we can't afford a hoop, or our parents can't buy that for us this year, or we're just gonna forget about it. Like, no, how can we create a basketball hoop? How can we make this happen right here without it being given to us? We have to create this now. So, man, that's it all ties together to that creativity, making it happen when it's not being handed to you, essentially. And intentionally trying to go out and find that purpose or find your passion instead of just sitting back hoping it comes to you one day.
Intentionally going out and forcing yourself into
it. Those are 2 types of people. Like that person right there, at least they're thinking about maybe there's a passion out there, but they're not going to go find it because it's scary. Right. And it may not create income for them. So they don't want to go do it. The other person is like, I'm trying to live my best life. Yeah. I need to find my passion. I need to find my purpose here. And once I find that, everything else will figure itself out because that'll guide me.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Yeah, man.
I think a lot of successful people and a lot of entrepreneurs too have moments in their life, that these aha moments that they can always go back to and be like, I remember exactly where I was when I thought that or when I felt that, and there was some kind of mindset shift or some kind of realization. Do you have any these aha moments that you can go back to and remember, I read that or saw that and I had a mindset shift or a realization towards something?
It's a great question, man. I think it's been more over a period of time. Okay. So it wasn't necessarily a one situation that made me say, but realizing once, like, I would say our official launch party. So the City Fit launch party was really when I saw City Fit bloom. Because before that, it was, our company is a little spread out as far as being all around the community. So you never really see it all together at once, like a Orange Theory where you work at per se, or a Gold's Gym where all the trainers are in there together. Right. So for me to really see the company, all the trainers together, people from the community coming out and supporting, videographers there, like newscasters coming, it really showed what the City Fit brand was and what I could create, essentially. Like and that's what I felt, anything was possible. Because for a while, man, after college, I studied sociology, which was amazing, but it wasn't a career that was going to generate a whole bunch of money for me. And I also was kind of lost after college, not knowing what I wanted to do with that. So for somebody that went to school played some ball. After that, was kind of lost for a little while. Studied something that he kind of picked when he was 18, but by the time he was 22, it wasn't really something that he thought he really wanted to do for his whole life. Like, and then redefining, having to think back those nostalgic thoughts, thinking back who I was as a kid, what I loved to do, be fit, run, be active, have energy. So for me, I had to like pull things that I did as a child and really kind of, before society's pressures and the norms became like what I wanted to do, like because society, you have to go to college, you have to pick a career that's in college, you have to do this. I decided like, okay, let me see what I really loved before society gave me those pressures. Found that, kind of brought that with me into my 24, 25-year-old years, and then developed who I really was. Then really dug deep about who, like, had to think deeper. Like, right. Who am I? Like, and boom, like, this is how it came about. Like, me just kind of thinking back, just what I really love, man. Yeah.
One thing I've seen you talk about lately is, and before, is that you picked out this apartment that you wanted for yourself, right? You live there now? Is that right?
Well, where I actually live now is not so. What I told myself, I needed to be at like the 30th floor by the time I was 31. Okay. So right now I'm standing on the 20th floor. So I was on the 3rd floor when I wrote that post, right? Yeah. No, 2nd floor. Okay. Right now I'm on the 20th essentially, which is, that's here nor there. It's funny you brought that up. But no, by the time I was 31, that's what it like, by my 31st year. So not the day I turned 31. Gotcha. But during that year, I wanted to be able to purchase a condo in the sky on the 30th floor. Now that I live on the 20th floor, that's kind of high. I'm realizing I was speaking, you know what I mean? So maybe the 22nd, 23rd. But yeah, man, setting that very intentional goal. And I will get to that. There's no question about it. So for me, it's just figuring out constantly new ways to kind of make sure that I get to that, but also not letting that just direct my life. Like making sure that I hit that goal, but also making sure there's other things that need to happen and everything else. So, you know, so yeah, man, that's definitely something that,
I think that you were looking for something to hold yourself accountable, right? That's You're like, at this point in time, I need to live at this place. So that's really, you know, whether it's the 20th, 30th floor, isn't like the biggest part of it. Exactly. You know, it's not in the details. It's about what you were going for. And the reason I really wanted to bring it up is recently I heard somebody who, you know, you hear a lot of people talk about how they wanted to buy their mom a house or to buy their mom this or that to take care of them because they weren't as fortunate growing up. And I heard somebody talk about how he didn't have the money to be a homeowner or to purchase a house. And he went out with his mom and they went to this house and said, "Mom, you're going to have this home in 90 days. And not having the money to do it yet, but being able to have that accountability to his mom and have it very concrete and visible made it so they had that sense of urgency and that sense of necessity to make it happen. I think that's kind of what you created for yourself by picking out that apartment, saying, I need to be here by this.
And putting it out to the community. That's the thing. Like, it's different when you write it in your notebook. You peek at it every once in a while. But when you put it out and you know people can see that. If it doesn't happen by 31, I put it out there to the world, essentially. So that gives me that extra sense of like, I gotta make this, you know what I mean? 100%. And I'm cool with the pressure. Cause that's, I mean, at this point, like, I embrace the pressure. Cause that's the only thing that really, like, gets me. Pressure, like, helps me to push myself. And if you don't find what drives you, if you don't find what pushes you, then you'll never really hit your goals. You know, you got to find because anybody can set a goal, but what's pushing you towards that goal? What do you want? What do you want to achieve? Whether it's money, whether it's fame, whether it's peace of mind, whether it's you want a man, you want whatever it is, a woman, whatever it is, you need to have some type of drive behind it. Yeah.
Who do you think who's been your most influential person in your life up to this point?
My father, no question about it. No question about it. Where he came from, kind of where he came from, the situation, became the only person from his area, from his family to go to college, to be, he played tennis in college. So where he's from, tennis is, nobody plays tennis. You know what I mean? Tennis team in college. He was the president of the fraternity in his college. So the first person in his college to be an Omega Psi Phi. He created the fraternity. Now it's one of the biggest fraternities in his college, the Division II school, Mansfield University. From that, had kids, man, decided to leave his profession, to trust himself, and to be the best person, the happiest person. He wasn't going to be a happy dad if he was going to that job he didn't want to every day. You know what I mean? So for him to be his best father, he needed to do something that was going to make him happy. Essentially would then trickle down to the kids. And for me, that's the blueprint. He took our family from one social economic status to another, essentially. And then my job, I feel like, is to kind of take our family from this social economic status to the next one, essentially. So for me, it's about generational wealth and watching him change the dynamic of our family brand and me kind of taking that on to the next step, essentially.
Gotcha. So do you think he's been so influential because you felt like he's exceeded his expectations?
Absolutely. I feel like I haven't done much because he laid the foundation. Like, I'm literally looking at his blueprint and using his blueprint. So the thing I got to do different is just take it up another notch, essentially, because he already kind of laid the blueprint for me.
So what does that blueprint look like?
Blueprint for me means never hustle with intent.
Yeah.
Make sure you put your family first, because they're the ones that will always be there for you, essentially, no matter what happens. Those are people that you can call when something happens. No matter how much you don't, like, arguments, whatever happens, when something really bad happens, those are the people you call right away, essentially. So those are the people in your corner, man. And make sure that you just don't stop. You just continue to hustle, man. Like, continue in. That's very bland, but that's real. Like, continue like with the intent, but just hustle, and things will happen for you, man.
Yeah.
Just
well, I think that phrase that you said was key. Hustle with intent. So what does that mean to you?
So for me, man, that's like moving fast. Like, cause he always tells me, man, move fast, but don't be in a hurry. So I'm moving fast, but I'm also doing it with very clear intentional goals. So I'm making things happen. I'm not pausing. I'm not putting it off to tomorrow. I'm not putting it off to next month, next week, next year. Like, no, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to move at a pace that I want my life to move at, essentially, but also very intentional. So everything I'm doing is for this umbrella goal to really hit these goals. So yeah, man, like, that intentional part is everything, because everybody can hustle.
Gotcha.
But you run around with like a chicken with his head cut off. It's like, what are you really trying to do? You're just 100%. Training. Like, if you're a personal trainer and you're just training all day, like, what's the goal? What are you trying to get to? How much are you trying to earn? What are you trying to get your schedule to look like? What do you want out of your clients? So yeah, man, with the intent, bro.
Yeah. One thing I'm taking away from the hustle with intent is something that I've kind of thought about. I think I maybe posted about one time is a lot of people feel that they're busy. But I think there's a difference between being busy and being productive. Like, you can sit down at your desk or wherever you're working and you can do stuff for 2 hours, but every 10, 15 minutes you pull up your phone and scroll through social media for 5 or 10 minutes. So I think that being able to kind of get yourself away from that distraction and have so much intent with how you're going to go about your work makes the huge difference in between not being just busy, but being actually super productive and going towards where you want to go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll sit down at my computer.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying I'm great at it.
And I'll watch ESPN YouTube videos for an hour and a half. I'm like, I'll put in 3 hours of work. Like, no, you didn't. You put in an hour and a half of work. Yeah. And you watch Allen Iverson crossover videos for the next half an hour, hour and a half, man. But yeah, I definitely have to. That's just being honest with yourself, being very honest, and that's one thing I'm getting better at. Because for a while growing up, man, I wasn't honest with myself. I would tell myself things to make myself feel better inside, and not really being. D, you didn't study as hard as you can for that test. D, you didn't work as hard as you can before that basketball game, which is why you didn't hit that goal. D, you didn't treat that young lady right, which is why she walked out of your life. Like, instead of like. Not owning things. Yeah, I'm becoming a lot better at just saying, shit, that was on me. I'm going to adjust that so that does not happen again. And if it does happen again, I know that wasn't me, because I've been working on trying to make those things happen. Being honest with yourself, even in business, it's making me like better at what I do, because I'm looking at everything for exactly what it is. Instead of put my own little narrative like, it could be like that. Let me wait. Like, no, it's like that.
Gotcha.
Like, it's like that.
So what I'm hearing is that you're doing a better job of not being externally reactive towards what's going on, but being kind of internally reflective on kind of why this thing happened and what maybe I could have done differently to adjust that situation or adjust the result.
Yeah, man. So just looking at it for what it is, and evaluating it and trying to just be better. That's it. Just trying to be better.
Cool. One thing I've talked to you about before, and that phrase that you used is how you feel you have unrealistic confidence for yourself and kind of what you want to accomplish. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, man, that unrealistic confidence, me walking around like, I mean, shit, unrealistic, like, let's just say this, like, I think I'm super fly. Like, I think I'm like model type. And that's unlike nobody's ever told me I look like a model.
Yeah.
But I, in my head, think that. Like, I walk around with that confidence because, and I mean, nobody's ever told me that. Like, nobody say, Derrick, you should model.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah, I don't get that. You know why? I don't know why. Probably because I don't look like it. But I have that unrealistic confidence that, like, when I walk into a room, I'm fly, man. I don't care. Like, all the fellas like, yo, I want that shirt. I want them kicks, yo. Yeah. So, and that's just me. So and it's weird. It's like, but I feel like it helps me because then I don't walk around like saying that all the time. But in my head, that's how I walk around, man. Like, same thing, like creating this business. Like, I had in my heart, like, people are gonna want to deal with my brand. People are gonna want to, and it may have been unrealistic, but I believed it so much that it made people in the community believe it and realize, So for me, that unrealistic confidence, man, can take you to the next level. Because if you believe it, people have no choice but to start to believe it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, they have no choice. If you just constantly this is what we're pushing. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm doing. Watch us do it. All of a sudden, it's like, shit, they're just, like, you gotta believe them now. Like, they're doing it. So, yeah, man, that's that unrealistic confidence. And I've realized that's kind of a manifest destiny thing.
Right.
Like, you got unrealistic confidence. Eventually, you're going to make that happen just because you believe in it so much.
Yeah. And it can probably come across to some people as maybe cocky, maybe definitely. If they don't.
It can, and it does come
you.
across as cocky at times.
But I think what is huge about it and why it's a game changer for you is that you believe so much in yourself wholeheartedly because you're doing something that you absolutely love, that you portray your confidence in a way that everybody's like, okay, he's confident in himself. He must know what he's doing. I want to be around that because maybe I don't feel that way. And so a lot of people can second guess themselves and not reflect that confidence. And it's going to show other people are going to see that other people are second guessing themselves and be like, okay, maybe I don't need to be around them for whatever reason. So I think that's a huge attractor for other people to want to be around you more. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that I probably brought you on this interview to, show off your confidence and everything like that.
Shit. Appreciate you, you know what I mean?
Now I'm giving away his unrealistic confidence, right? I'm giving him too much credit.
Nah, man, I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate you with what you're doing. Like, really kind of asking the questions that people need they need the answers to these questions, and you're providing a platform for people to be able to kind of answer these questions and for the community to soak in these answers. And you're going to help a lot of people because these are things that people struggle with every day. Like, a lot of people went to college for things that now they're like, shit, like, that's not really what I want to do. And it's not a bad thing. Like, we get put in a position to pick what we want to do forever at 17.
Right.
Like, so for me, that nobody should be making a decision what they're going to do forever at 17. So for me, man, it's being able to just, what you're doing, just motivate the people out there, man. And you're creating a platform for us to do it. You're doing an amazing job, bro.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
All right. So one of the questions I want to ask before the end is that, so you just turned 30, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just turned 30. Big 3-0. Big 3-0. Shit. It came out of nowhere. Just slapped me in the back of my neck, please.
Yeah, that did come out of nowhere, didn't it? So, in 10 years, you're going to be 40 just to make it that much better.
But you said 9 years and like 300 something days,
oh,
right?
Man.
Damn.
Well, and you have already preached on how you set goals for yourself, and you have things that you want to create, you have things that you want to accomplish and put out in the world.
Yeah.
So what does 10-year, 40-year-old Derrick Billups look like? What have you done? What have you accomplished?
Yeah, man. 10 years from now, first thing I want to do is be able to really take care of my family. So that's a huge goal. So my family doesn't really need to be taken care of. They've been taking care of me their whole life, but I want to put them in a position where they don't have to do things that they don't want to. Okay. Like, a lot of things DJ can take. DJ is the name that I grew up with. I'm Derrick Jr.
Yeah.
So everybody called me that growing up. So that's how they call me that. So DJ wants to be able to take care of everybody, essentially. So that's one huge goal, and that's an umbrella goal. So in order to hit that, in order to do that, the goals under it essentially have to be very clearly defined. So I want to be able to have City Fit all over the country, providing fitness and wellness in hotels, residential buildings, on cruise liners. We want to be in different like spa resorts. If you go to on the islands, Dominican Republic, places like that, really put City Fit in these luxury models, man. Even have City Fits on some planes. Personal trainers, like planes are getting crazy these days, man. So that's where that's going to be, man. And that's more of a business goal.
Yeah.
I have another couple companies that I want to create that I'm not going to talk about as much here until I actually kind of get those squared. Yeah, and until those get squared away, man, and create a family for myself. So really have a couple children. I want 2 or 3 kids, man. And it's getting close to that time where that's going to come. So by the time I'm 40, I want to have about 2 or 3 children. Want to make sure that my family can be taken care of by me. And I also want to make sure that the company that I'm currently working on right now is where it needs to be as far as like spread the way it is and really organized, fine-tuned, and me being able to pursue the other business ideas that I want, man.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that's it
awesome.
right there, bro.
Those are some damn good goals. Well, before I ask the last question, I want to acknowledge you for a second for your energy and your enthusiasm and your passion, because I don't think anybody has this much urgency and passion doing something they don't want to do. So I think that's very apparent. And for wanting to give it back to others, being able to show them the way about how to do it, to go about it the right way, and everything like that. So I think that's just like really cool and really awesome and something that's super unique, and you don't see it very often because I don't think people chase their passion and their energy as much as people like you do. So that's really cool.
Appreciate that.
But before I ask the last question too, I want you to tell everybody where you can find you online, social media, give a quick 30, 60 second pitch about City Fit Concierge. So go ahead and do your thing.
So quickly, guys, obviously I'm Derrick Billups, owner at City Fit Concierge, but I try to get away from just saying Derrick Billups, owner at City Fit Concierge. Me personally, guys, I'm a guy that loves family, a guy that's really into sports. I love reading recently. I like ebooks more, like things that kind of read back to me. Yeah. And man, I love to travel. As far as my business, I started about 1.5 years ago. We're a residential on-site fitness and wellness company. We were teaching about 80 classes a month back in December. Now we're doing over 140, 150 a month essentially. So really trying to change the game, guys. And I'm a very unconventional person. If you see visually, if you look at this, you'll probably like look at me, see I'm a little unconventional for a business owner, guys. And also my business model is very unconventional, down to our team members. So yeah, just trying to constantly change the game. That's one of the huge goals for me. Change the game. Don't just do it because it was the way it was done for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There's a new way there's a new way things can be done, guys, and being creative and using the creativity that we all have inside of us. So,
gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's fire right there. So the last question I always ask everybody is, I'm very intentional and very purposeful about wanting everybody to be their best version of themselves, the happiest, healthiest version of themselves as they can be, so they can go out and live their best life. And I think it's a constant journey. I think we try to better ourselves every single day. Sometimes that works out better than other days. But I want to ask for you personally, if you could do or work on 3 things to become the best version of yourself, to become the best Derrick Billups there is, what are those 3 things that you could do or 3 things that you could work on?
3 things that I could work on. Absolutely. Number 1 is my body. So continuing to treat my body like a temple, the temple that it is, treating myself like a king. So essentially making sure that I put the right foods into my body, making sure that I'm drinking the right stuff, making sure that I'm exercising regularly. And that may sound very like cliche, but making sure that you take care of your body and mind. Make sure you take care of your mind. Everything inside this temple of yours, the temple of mind, making sure that that's taken care of essentially. Number 2, and hold on, read back that overall question one more time.
Just that 3 things that you can do and work on to become the best version of yourself. And I just prefaced it with, I think it's a constant journey. We try to better ourselves each and every day. So what are 3 things that you could do to make that happen? Yeah,
absolutely. So that was the first one. And the second one is just being more disciplined. So being very disciplined in just the way that, first off, treat my body, discipline in the way that I'm treating the people around me, discipline in the way that I'm attacking my goals, discipline in the way that, even down to just waking up in the morning, making sure that everything that I'm doing is kind of very in line with the goals, essentially. And that's going to take discipline for myself and sacrifices. So those 2 go along with each other, having the discipline and then sacrificing things to make sure that these things happen the way I want them to happen. And the sacrifices don't ever have to be stuff that completely just like change your life for the bad. Cause that means whatever your goal is, that stuff isn't meant for you. Like, cause that's the process to get there. So for me, man, it's the discipline and then having those sacrifices. And then lastly, man, I would say just, it's important to surround yourself around people, man, that truly engage you and make you like this better person. So that's family members, that's friends, that's mentors, that's team members, that's people like you, like everybody that not necessarily just wants to see you win, but wants to see you just be great. So winning, and I feel like being great is totally different. You can win once or twice. I feel like when you're great forever. Like you're great essentially. So they want to like help you work on yourself, not just these one or two minor victories. Like they're constantly trying to like give you pointers, and even visually, like just being around people like, man, guys in the community, like, and like guys like Chad Wallers, guys like, girls like Ashley Bassett, like people around me that I know have these bigger goals, man, and that I need to make sure that I can soak up kind of what they're up to, and it rubs off on me and it just makes me better. So
yeah, boom, that's awesome. Great three. Well, that's all we got, man. I appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you. Keep it up, guys.